Getting into some game preview presented by Simply IOA. 3 big things to focus on for this game preview. So let's get right to it, and we'll get to Brian and John for their thoughts. Game preview, big thing number 1 is do not forget Ryan Tannehill. We just talked about it with head coach Doug Marrone. All the focus has been with the Jaguars' conversation about this game is stopping Derrick Henry, and rightfully so, especially with what we've seen from this run defense lately. But this guy, Ryan Tannehill, is pretty dang good, and a big reason why the Titans made it to the playoffs last season after switching from Marcus Mariota to Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill coming off a Monday Night Football game with 249 yards and 2 touchdowns. Despite a pretty slow, sloppy game, he still played well. Big thing number 2 is be more physical. Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the Titans, MO, is leading a very physical football team that plays a full 60 minutes and wears you out. The Jaguars are not only going to have to meet the physical battle, but beat them with that. That's all going to start up front with the offensive line and defensive line, so going to keep our eye on that for sure. And finally, big thing 3 is make Minshew. Instead of relying on the running game, which the Titans will most likely focus on taking away at the start of the game, especially now that there is game tape of Minshew and what this offense looks like, the Titans defense is going to make Minshew beat them with his arm. So Minshew, go ahead and beat them. Going back to big thing 1, Brian Sexton, don't forget Tannehill. We've talked about it so much with Derrick Henry, but you heard Coach Marrone. Ryan Tannehill, very good quarterback. Wide receivers are talented. So yes, focusing on stopping the run, but don't forget about that guy.
No, he's smart, he's tough, he's experienced. He's got that playoff run behind him. This team believes in him. It is worth noting, the youngster, A.J. Brown, their top pick last year out of Ole Miss, it looks like he may miss the game. He's got some knee issues. Cody Davis is a big, tall, long receiver, and Jonnu Smith. Those 3 guys can create mismatches down the field. I'm not sure you can say that C.J. Henderson will just erase one of those guys, although it appears maybe the injury report will take one of them away. This is the week to get some pressure on Tannehill and force quick throws, force pressured throws that aren't necessarily on target. That's really what we're talking about. Josh Allen's got to take advantage of some opportunities. It'd be great to see K'Lavon Chaisson at least force the offensive coordinator to roll some of the protection his way every couple of plays to allow Allen to get in.
All right, and John Oehser, do you agree with all of this hype on Derrick Henry and at times forgetting about what else is on the Titans offense? And also, big thing too, being more physical. It's going to start up front with the defensive line for sure.
Well, it's hard not to agree with the hype around Henry when he's still running from last year. I'm not sure he's, but it's Tannehill is much better than people think. It became vogue over the offseason to sort of raise your eyebrows. Wait a minute, Ryan Tannehill, big-time contract, But down the stretch last year before the playoffs, Tannehill, as much as Henry, got them in position to get to the run that sort of made Henry, a national name. He was a national name, but you know what I'm saying. The physical part, I think, is absolutely key to stopping Derrick Henry. Last year, when they wore down in the second half of the Titans, Jaguars thought that they did a good job against Henry in the first half, but ran out of not able bodies, but fresh bodies, enough people with size on the interior to stop. And then he ran over him in the second half. They think they have more depth, more stamina on the interior of the defensive line to hold up the entire game against Derrick Henry. You've got to be physical the entire game. Jaguars this year think they have the personnel to do it.
And John, the biggest thing, I actually just wrote this in the final analysis, is when you look back at the games against Derrick Henry, it seems like you always want to keep the Band-Aid on the big runs. You can keep him under to 100, around 100 yards, but if he has that big explosive run, it's almost like popping the balloon. There goes the game. They can't let that happen on Sunday.
Well, it's been a point I've made throughout training camp with this defense. I don't know that all season this defensive interior is going to be great at every play being a 1-yard gain. But with Schobert, with Jack, with Josh Jones instead of Ronnie Harrison, I think there will be fewer breakouts. If you can, as you said, Shlyn, take the 99 and 74 yarders away the last 2 years and make those 20-yard runs, all of a sudden the dynamics of how much Derrick Henry has dominated you looks a little different. So, yes, stay in your lane, stay in your gap, stop the breakout run.
Let's see if they can do that on Sunday. And finally, big thing 3 is make Gardner Minshew. Make Gardner Minshew beat you with his arm. Brian, I think we can agree, especially after now that there's game tape on James Robinson. Mike Vrabel is going to do all he can to stop the run basically at the beginning of the game.
This is the old Darren McNair, just in reverse. Make Minshew beat you. And although that sounds really pentamic, iambic pentameter, to go back to English class, make Minshew beat you. Here's the story. I said I thought that Gardner Minshew was about as good as he was going to be. He just would do what he does really, really well. We saw that last week. This game, he has to get better. He has to get rid of the ball. He has to be decisive. He has to take what he sees. And if he does, he can make them pay for making Minshew beat you. That still rhymes in my head. He's got the ability. He's going to have to be really good. He's going to be better than last week. And I'm not talking in terms of completion percentage, because that isn't possible. All right? You're not going to complete 19 of 20 again. But he's got to hit the open receiver on critical third downs to move the chains. He's got to take those strikes. He can't miss guys running wide open. He's got to be money. If he is, they can win this game on Sunday. If he's not, it's going to be real tough.
All on him, and not to mention, John, the Titans have 2 very talented cornerbacks trying to do that in a very talented secondary.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of them's out. Adoree Jackson won't play. So I think it's going, and I get to this in my he will, he won't, he might later. But
here we go.
Minshew's a good deep passer. He will have more opportunities against the Titans, you would think. They play more man than the Colts, who like to play zone and take that away. I think he'll have time, or not time, he'll have opportunity against some single coverage to take some deep shots. He's good at that. We'll see if he hits it on Sunday.
We shall see. Going to be an exciting game on Sunday in Nashville, Tennessee.